Hello and welcome to the corner studio here in my garage, and today I want to talk about camera equipment. Specifically, I want to talk about a couple of lenses that are just my go-to lenses, and I just use them all the time. And I want to say before I get started that this is not going to be a science experiment. This is my observations, so you're going to get mostly a subjective look at these lenses. The first one is a Nikon 24-70 zoom lens. It's an f4. The second one is the Nikon 24-120 zoom lens. It's also an f4. Both of these are Nikon's Z mount lenses for their full frame camera line, and both of these lenses are Nikon's S line, which is their higher tier lenses. As far as their actual differences go, I use both of these lenses all the time, and this one here, the 24-70, I have pretty much assigned it to the Z30, and I use this around the studio. Particularly, I use it as a second camera backup, and I also point it at the table when I'm doing arts and crafts on the table, and I want to do a close-up of that and intersperse footage of table versus me talking. That's the camera and the lens that I use for that. This is Nikon Z6 II, and I've pretty much parked the 24-120 on this camera. This lens, the 24-120, stays on this camera unless I am going out to the field to do some wildlife shooting. Then I'll put my 100-400 lens on this camera, but the rest of the time, the 24-120 is on this camera. There is not an instance where I would take the 24-70 off of this camera and put it on the Nikon Z6 II unless I thought there was a possibility that the lens itself might be at risk out in the weather or risk of terrain, stumbling and dropping it onto something. So in general, I get a way better result out of this 24-120, and my suspicion is, although I did not engineer these lenses, and looking around online I can only find a little bit out about their build, but I'm going to take a wild guess that this lens has better glass in it and probably maybe slightly better build quality and engineering, because I tend to get better results out of it than I do with the 24-70, and I have used the 24-70 on the Nikon Z6 II body, so it can't all be explained by it being used on a Z30 body. The last thing that I'll touch on, and I'm still very pleased with both of these lenses, but the 24-120 is absolutely, in my view, for my uses, head and shoulders above the 24-70. Nikon, at least as of a couple of days ago when I was on the website, Nikon lists the 24-70 at $999. They list the 24-120 at $1,099. Now, I have never seen the 24-120 on sale. I have paid for the two of them that I have bought. I've paid full retail. This one, a few months ago, back in the fall, they were running a sale where if you bought a camera body, you could buy the lens at a big discount, and I bought this lens on a good discount. I want to say, just from memory, it was about $300 back then. So they discount this lens, but apparently they don't discount the 24-120. I wonder why. Anyway, I'll just close out by saying you've got to decide your own gear, and the only time that I would say, well, the 24-70 beats this lens would be if you were going on a trip and you didn't really need that extra reach, and you wanted something that you could that would take up the least amount of space and that you could shove into a camera bag. That might be a time for the 24-70 to beat this lens, but that's absolutely the only time I can think of that I would prefer that lens over this one. Anyway, I'm going to say thanks for joining me today, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one.